Okay, so we have right now the 2 minutes pitch poster session. I ask all the person created the poster just to line up here. Daniel, Erika, Laurent, Luis, Melissa, Mogens, Nicandro, Paloma, Philip, Roderick, Samuel, and Simon, and Verena, sorry. First one is Daniel Mietchen.
Yeah, if you take the QR code, you get to the poster directly. Everything that is in blue and more than one letter has a link that adds information that's not readily accessible on the paper. In short, the research is not just a process, it's not just outputs, but it's a process. I want to make more of the process visible. I'm providing 3 examples. The bird is one example. So it has traditional marks, wing tags, which kind of represent the traditional way of publishing things. We have rather persistent identifier, but not much information about the process behind it. And then we have a transponder on it, which gives us fair data, real-time data. And that's the kind of information I would like to have about the research process and share. And so with that in mind, please think about the processes that you're involved in and how we can share more of those. And for the details and discussion, my poster is, as far as I've seen, the only one that's in landscape.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erika Andreose, and I'm here to present our work titled Investigating Bibliographic Entities Without Persistent Identifiers, developed together with my colleague Leonardo Zilli. This study focuses on research outputs from the University of Bologna Institutional Research Information System, or IRIS, our platform for collecting and managing data on research activities and publication. A significant portion of IRIS data, about the 33.9%, lacks persistent identifiers, such as DOIs, ISBNs, or PMIDs. This absence limits the discoverability and integration of this publication within the wider scholarly ecosystem. So in our research, we investigated the IRIS no-ID dataset to understand the reasons behind this gap and assess whether these orphan records could be reconciled with external bibliographic databases. We began by cleaning and duplicating the dataset, then explored correlation between missing persistent identifiers and metadata fields such as publication type, countries, and data. To test the potential for recovery, we queried Crossref using each record's metadata, and we were able to successfully match over 18,000 entries. And we then checked these DOIs against open citations and found that more than 10,000 were already indexed, offering a positive indication of the potential for improved metadata integration and broader visibility. So thank you for your attention, and we will wait you, me and Leonardo, outside near the poster. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you to the organizers for inviting me today. So I'm here today to present Dark Vocabularies, which is a repository for semantic artifacts created by the Digital Humanities Research Center here at the University of Bologna, with the goal of increasing the visibility and fairness of these artifacts. The main points of our contribution is twofold. Firstly, it's a practical example of how smaller DH centers or similar institutions can use existing software and modeling solutions. In this case, the software is SKOS, the data model is SKOS, to make their own semantic artifacts more fair and more usable, both internally and externally. And then secondly, as part of our publishing workflow, we have an option for overlaying OWL and SKOS together in order to make OWL ontologies visible through the software and really practically both more visible in a traditional sense, but also just really easier to read. This is, as far as we know, a fairly novel approach in both the DH and the cultural heritage sectors for the uses of SKOS. It has some limitations, which we're hoping to kind of wrangle at some point, but that's basically it. Repository is live. We're working on adding new semantic artifacts that are being created by research at the university right now. And we're also implementing documentation to be able to continue to get this going even after I am gone. That's it. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Luis Montilla from Crossref. What you see here is basically a data analysis exercise exploring potential differences in some of the metadata that we have at Crossref. But my approach here was, instead of comparing metadata in a case-by-case basis, explore the multivariate data set here in a large scale in terms of regions of the world. So what you will see here, and I will be happy to take more questions because I'm condensing the information here, is that basically, yes, of course, there are some important, very striking differences in different regions of the world. But for example, you will find that the interesting things is the nuance, or why specific regions are different from others. For example, North America, their average contribution in this analysis is that they have the fewest abstracts contributions versus, for example, Sub-Saharan Africa, which has the highest abstracts contribution. And then the same applies to the different other regions of the world, where you can see very interesting patterns there. But I will be happy to take more questions outside next to my poster. Thank you.
Hi there, Melissa Harrison from Europe PMC. So here to talk about what we're doing with preprints. Since 2018, we've been indexing preprints, and we're now 34 different servers, nearly 1 million preprints, and the work that we've been doing to aggregate, enrich, track, and help people analyze, and also just like some of the problems with the open metadata challenges. And I just have a really positive thing to say here. We found that licensing information for preprints wasn't readily available for a few preprint servers in Crossref, and we just emailed them and they added it. And so I just want to say that sometimes these problems aren't this big, and if people just know why you need it and what you want, then they can add it. So that was a really positive thing that happened. And so what we also have doing with enrichment, we search text and data mine for accession numbers and data citations. And also where we have a full text corpus, which is about 70,000, when we do the conversion there, we're adding raw IDs, and it also enables us to text and data mine for accessions from the full text as well. And all of our stuff is available via open APIs, and we also provide tracking abilities. And in our future plans, at the moment, we're just using Crossref, but in the future we plan to utilize the DataCite APIs, and also we plan to provide aggregate tracking across metrics, for citation metrics across preprints and the journal articles as well, to kind of help aggregate that. Thank you.
Hi. Open research information, yes, but how? Well, quick story about how we are approaching this in Denmark, keeping in mind that open is not enough. It also needs to be good, correct, reliable, trustworthy, etc. So we start, and this is the project of this year, with the Danish institutions and their CRIS systems, or whatever they like to call them, 20, 30 of those. We gather all the metadata from them and consolidate that into a national CRIS index available for anyone. Then, next step is working with colleagues at OpenAlex, which we support financially, of course, to enhance this using their processing pipelines, adding all kinds of subject classifications, topics, what have you. Also now coming the OECD Ford classification, citation counts, etc. on the global scale. Check one, that's also available for anyone as soon as OpenAlex has completed their ingest of our data. Next step is from colleagues in Leiden, that we also support financially, of course, to add the well-respected scientometric indicators from the Open Leiden ranking and a number of other indicators. And then this all goes to the Research Portal Denmark and is processed and integrated and cleaned and enhanced and so on, so that it may be made available through search interfaces of various kinds and analytical interfaces. But we also have currently 3 for-profit data providers, and we are negotiating with the 3 if they can see themselves in this future setup where their data will be fully integrated and merged with data coming from the open players. Stay tuned, it's not finalized, but then the data, the resulting data set on Denmark will be open also for others to exploit. And the software, of course, we are rewriting all our ingesting software.
Hi everybody, I'm Nicandro Bovenzi from Series Academic, and citing an informal conversation with Silvio yesterday, he claimed that the affiliation, the problem of affiliation curation, affiliation enrichment requires like a big endeavor, probably like the one to get good citations metadata in open format, and the work I will be presenting with this poster aims at being a contribution to this endeavor, and it's work developed with colleagues at Series Academic, and which basically where we've tried to develop a framework, I would say more than a tool to enrich affiliation metadata, and specifically for trying to overcome specific issues that goes from having very diverse and a structured format for affiliations to having very complex affiliations. Whoever knows the French research context knows that an affiliation can be 3 lines long, and so it's complex to deal with these cases. And so this finishing up, this also aims to be a contribution to have more fair representations of contribution by smaller research organizations, being academic or non-academic. So feel free to come, and I will be happy to comment about this work. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Paloma Marina Raiza, and I'm here to briefly explain the approach that ORCID is taking towards research integrity. So first of all, data contained in ORCID records is based, of course, in the connection with persistent identifiers and also validations added by the community, what we call the community trust network. Also, the idea is to convert the scholarly record into a record that has more trust, and we understand that this is a collaborative and cumulative approach, so over time. Also, different ways of entries of data into the ORCID record have different mechanisms to guarantee that they are trustworthy, from the data that is added manually by a researcher, the data claim from certain linguists such as the one with EMBL-EBI or Crossref or DataCite, and also the metadata added directly by universities in affiliations or by funders with funding information. This is all part of our trust program that has basically 4 pillars around individual control, reliability, accountability, and integrity. And if you would like to know more, I'm more than happy to answer your questions during the lunch break.
Let me introduce the Leibniz Association first. It unites 96 independent research institutions across Germany. As one of the country's largest research networks, we span everything from natural sciences to humanities. Last June, we joined 3 other major institutions in signing the Barcelona Declaration. Our journey actually began earlier, in November 22, when we launched our initiative Strengthening CRIS in the Institutes of the Leibniz Association. At that time, only 25% of our institutes were using CRIS systems. What are we doing? First, we are building a strong Leibniz community through regular online workshops and annual in-person CRIS days. This community is vital. It enables our members to exchange experiences, support each other, and implement shared standards and best practices. Second, we are providing specialized information resources and consulting services. And third, we are creating incentives for adopting open source CRIS solutions. This all supports the Barcelona Declaration's 4th commitment. We will support collective action to accelerate the transition to openness of research information.
Thank you. This is still a part of the same presentation. Thank you. As you can see, openness is very central to our initiative. This goes both for open research information as well as open source CRIS, as 3 self-developed or co-developed open source CRIS are already in use at the Leibniz Association. That is Vivo, GRIS, Osiris, and there are also some Leibniz institutions that are currently implementing DSpace CRIS. We have made, since the start of our initiative, significant progress. Over 17 new institutes are now using or implementing CRIS with a strong interest in open source options. And using open source CRIS, of course, avoids vendor lock-in effects and research information being locked away in proprietary ecosystems. And in addition to that, of course, we are always encouraging our institutes to openly share their research information. So now more and more Leibniz institutes are striving to both obtain and provide research information openly, and the initiative Strengthening CRIS is helping this process along. So yeah, we are trying to to help them to provide their research information by we're getting there by supporting the implementation and development of CRIS. This is how we contribute to the Barcelona Declaration goals. And of course, thank you very much for your time. We will also be there at the posters to answer any further questions. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Rod Page, University of Glasgow. You can find my poster next to Daniel's enormous big landscape one. He shuffled me around the corner, so I'm sort of slightly hidden. Thanks, Daniel. So I'm going to talk about data citation and the Make Data Count initiative. I'm very interested in citing data. This poster has 3 components. The first, it looks at the data citation corpus, which is about 5 million examples of where a paper supposedly cites some data. One of the problems with this corpus is a lot of it is, how shall I be polite, less than good. It's about 5 million citations. Most of those are to DNA sequences. About half of those are made up. They're essentially fabricated by the technique that was used to find them. So there are some very serious data quality issues in this corpus. And I talk a bit about where that sort of come from in this poster. If we set that aside, the second thing I'm really interested in is some of the patterns that we can see in it. And one of the most striking patterns that I think is the modal number of citations of a data element is 1. So the vast majority of pieces of data are cited just once. Now, if you drill down and have a look at those, these are not citations in the sense that I would think. To me, a citation is you are reusing something which exists, like we cite somebody else's paper. Most of the citations in this corpus are publication events. The paper publishes the data set. That's what we're recording. So we're not actually measuring reuse. We're measuring the act of publishing a data set. And I think those are different things. And the final thing I sort of talk a bit about is metrics are wonderful. They're also potentially possibly dangerous. But for me, what I'm really interested in is the context of the data. So I got into this because I'm interested in particularly DNA sequences. I want to know when people use them, what were the questions they were asking, and what can they tell me about that data. That's why I was really hopeful the data citation corpus could be used for that, perhaps not quite yet. I sort of finish in the poster talking about a particular data set that I'm interested in, that I'm trying to sort of link those citations together. And who knows, maybe I could donate those to the Make Data Initiative as a small contribution to that task. So the task they're trying to do is very difficult, but the data quality at the moment is sadly lacking. And I'm just around the corner from Daniel.
Hello everyone, I'm Samuel Scalbert, part of INRIA. I will be presenting today a software, more of a pipeline maybe. It allows anyone with directory of PDF files to directly transform them using two AIs that are called Grobit and SoftSites. Grobit will process the PDF files, to, create XML outputs. The XML outputs are processed then by SoftSites. SoftSite detects software as I mentioned. And after that, we are using the pipeline. So Software Sync will be able to synchronize the JSON from SoftSite and the XML from Grobit to create the same output in XML-TI. And then the final one is called Software Viz, and it's a web application that allows you to visualize and monitor the production of software in your institution, laboratory, basically in the dataset that you used in the pipeline. It's fully open access. It's perfect. It works perfectly. And I will be outside with a demo of my work next to my poster. Thank you.
My name is Verena, and I'm coming here with a poster about open citation for education science. So I'm from DIPF, Leibniz Institute for Research and Information on Education. Me and my colleagues, we are working together with colleagues from GESIS, so the Leibniz Institute for Social Sciences, and they have been developing a tool chain for the automatic extraction of citation data, where you can find the demo within the QR code. And what we are doing in this project is that we are doing some research on citation practices in education science, and then we want to improve the tool chain of the outside project for our special case for the education science. I'm looking forward to meeting you at the poster. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for having, being here for this very short introduction of the poster. Time to have a lunch. So you can just access the area directly from that door there and then go out from the other one. And we will start again at 2:30. Thank you so much and have a nice lunch.